my topic, I want to talk mostly about models, because models matter. But before I get into the model discussion, I want to first thank TAF and the TAF Foundation for actually inviting me here. I think this is a great platform, and we need, like Dr. Ellis said, we need to replicate this in other sectors, not only in the TAF bubble, but outside the TAF bubble, right? So first of all, I know a lot of people are saying, gosh, you're so young to be here. You're so young to be a professor. You're so young to be a PhD. I get that all the time, by the way. Some of my students are actually older than me. And for the most part, you know, I present maybe 7 to 8 papers at conferences every year. And usually I'm the youngest there. So I'm actually totally okay with this. I'm in my element, right? I'm totally in my element. But I want to talk about the models. We have the TAF model. And I also don't want to take this and approach it as some kind of a lecture, but I'm a lecturer at heart, so I kind of enjoy that kind of stuff. Anyways, how many people here know Modu Musa Njie?
Everybody.
You've heard of Modu Musa Njie? Okay, what did he do?
Business.
Like what kind of business?
He said cola nuts.
Say it again? Cola nuts, right? The problem with most of us, we can't even tell you what Modu Musa Njie did. The older generation perhaps could. My generation don't know much about Modu Musa Njie. The problem is that we cannot replicate the Modu Musa Njies. I can learn the TAF model, go to class and teach that model any day. Models matter. Models are very important. We need to actually have systems and structures that we can actually use to make Gambia a better Gambia, not only for us today, but for posterity, right? So, I want to get into the so what's too. I just don't want to sit here and just ramble about how the structure is not working. I want to get to a position where we can actually answer some of these problems. I want us to actually find solutions to some of these problems. So, the first thing I want to talk about is our education system. Right now, we're actually failing this generation woefully as a society. You look at the education system in the United States, in the inner cities, they have a structure that they call it's more of a euphemism, where you'll hear a lot of people saying they have the high school to prison pipeline for black kids who live in the hood, you know, in the inner cities. In the Gambia, what we have is high school to nowhere. You graduate from high school and then what? Because we have a system that is actually failing our students. When I went to St. Teresa's Middle School, it was very competitive. You know, I went to Serekunda Primary. I went to public school all the way through. So I went to Serekunda Primary School. After that, you know, I went to St. Teresa's before I went to St. Augustine's. At St. Teresa's, sitting in my common entrance, it was very competitive to get into St. Teresa's. Very competitive, but it was very cheap too, right? You don't have to go to Marina School or the Nauses and whatnot to be able to actually have a good education. Well, with the new system we have, they call it fast track or whatever the hell it is, I don't know, but it's not a good structure. It's not working. It is not working. It is failing us. The system we had was that you will graduate from primary school, public school, and you go to a good middle school, and then you go to a good high school. Now we're actually warehousing students in classrooms, pushing them to the 9th grade, and then we expect miracles. We cannot etch and sketch our way to prosperity. We cannot. We need systems and structures that we can actually use to make this system better. The other thing I want to talk about is how this actually connects with the bikeway migration. We have a lot of youth today because models are very important. In my neighborhood in Churchillstown, I'm from Serekunda, growing up in Churchillstown, you don't see a lot of doctors, you don't see a lot of engineers. What you see is a bunch of semesters building homes. That's the same structure we have today. Why wouldn't you want that as a kid? Why wouldn't you? Nobody's telling you anything different. What you have to do is to get out of the Gambia. Now we have a bunch of young people trying to get out of the Gambia by all means possible. Because they have friends who've used the backway migration. A year later, they're buying one of these homes. Why wouldn't you want that? That transforms your life. And I know many people here, you know, I have a blog, so I blog, and I've written about all of this stuff for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So if you read my blog, you're like, oh yeah, he's just talking about the same stuff. But This is a new platform, and I'm sure some people haven't read my blogs and whatnot. But it is important to have models. The semester model works. Let's not lie to ourselves. It works. Once you travel, you come back home, you get treated with respect. You get a status. You get access to capital and money. And if you're lucky enough, like myself, I traveled to the United States a little bit right after high school. I got a full ride all the way to my PhD. I didn't pay a dime after my freshman year, right? But how many people can say that? If I didn't have that access, if I was still in the Gambia, I would still be mediocre as hell. I grew up with a lot of people in Serekunda who are way smarter than me, and I'm talking about way smarter than me, but they're limited by the system. They're limited by the structure we have. The problem we have is that you have a kid graduating even from University of the Gambia. They can't even do a PhD here. They don't even have a real campus. They don't even do real research. I came here 3 years ago in 2015. That was my first time here in almost about a decade or so. And I was talking to some students at the University of the Gambia, but they're bossing some students from Kotu and whatnot, the high school. So I was talking to this kid. She graduated a year prior, and I think she got like first or second in the Gambia, and she wanted to do some kind of engineering course that they don't have in the Gambia. So she has to go to GTTI to do mechanical training. We have a system that is failing us. And just like you said, that the youth is the future. Let's just get rid of these buzzwords. The youth is the future, the harnessing the youth dividend. Those are all, it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't. The youth is it today. If we are attacked by a country, we actually send the youth to actually defend the country. Yet the youth is the future. The youth is the present. There is no future we're talking about here. The future is a 5-year-old kid. The youth is grown. And investing in human capital is important. It is crucial. It is very, very important to invest in human capital. And right now, I don't think we're doing that the way we should, right? So again, models matter. The semester system works. The other problem we have is, I'm just wondering what the government is doing moving forward. My mom's family, they're from Tujareng. I visited Tujareng in 2015. When I left Gambia, Tujareng was a sleepy town, a sleepy village actually, right? I enjoy going there. It was fun. I still enjoy going there. But in 2015, I was shocked about what's going on in Tujareng. The rapid development, the rapid urbanization. My mom owns maybe 80 by 80 or 100 by 100. When we were kids, we used to go there for, go to the orchard and look at get some mangoes and oranges and stuff. That was cool, and we had actually a caretaker living there. Today, you're not going to have that in Tujareng. You're not going to have a caretaker living in a house, in a compound with their family, because all those orchards are 15 by 15, 20 by 20 prospects. What is happening in Tujareng is that 20 years ago, a lot of people who didn't make it in Serekunda will probably go back to Tujareng and actually farm. Subsistence farming was a thing. Now the people who own the land are selling all that land, marrying maybe 2 or 3 wives. But then what is going to happen with those kids? I call these kids the disinherited class. They're going to grow up with nothing. They're not going to inherit anything. What is the government doing in regards to forecasting? What are they doing with regards to massive urbanization? Do we have answers to this problem? Are we even thinking about this? Are we looking into the today and the future? We need serious policy. Formulation of policies. I mean, growing up, you'll always look at the news and you'll see people say, you look at what JR says, and a lot of people will say, you see the journalists and whatnot, there was a conference about youth and development and whatnot. Well, I realized, I'm like, my entire life was all about youth and development on TV. Where is that? Where is that? So we have all these ideas that we never put to the test. We sign every single accord. We sign every single agreement. But where's the follow-through? Where is the measurement? Where's the impact? As a society, we need to do something. And this brings me to the so what and my personal story too. My personal model. A lot of people are not lucky to have my model, because my dad was more of an accountant. He'll come home every night crunching numbers and whatnot. And I was like, I hated this. I don't want to do this. It wasn't fun. My uncle, who's actually sitting here in front of us, Now, Mr. Alingom, my mom's brother, he had a cool job, growing up, I'll go, we'll go to mile 7 and then go to Independence, and I was sitting right behind Jawara as a kid. I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to do this. It was fun, right? It was fun, right? And, after Jawara Jammeh came, he became Secretary General, and that was even cooler, right? So I'll listen to the news, and they will say, oh, Mr. Alingom, Secretary General, and, at school, everybody knew I was Alingom's nephew, and that was cool, right? So I wanted to be that. But what did he study? I was like, oh, so my sister asked my sister, oh, what did Uncle Ali do? Oh, yeah, he went to school for economics and international relations. I had no idea about that stuff. I didn't even think he did international relations, but it didn't matter. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a diplomat. Yeah, I mean, it was cool, right? He was on TV and all that stuff. I wanted to do that, but I had that model. When I applied for, when I did my A-level here, I asked him, we talked about it. When I applied for undergrad, we talked about it. When I applied for my graduate school, and he attended all of my graduation except for my PhD, we talk about it too, right? I had that model. A lot of people ask me, oh, you're from Serekunda. Oh, yeah, I have a nephew who lives there too, but he's doing nothing. How did you make it out of Serekunda? I was like, models matter. In the beginning, it didn't make sense. Like when people asked me, I was like, I thought it was just meant to be a given. It was a no-brainer, right? But models matter. I had a model. When I got my first job after graduate school, I had 2 job offers. I asked him. I was actually at his house in Washington, D.C., and he literally gave me the best advice. I took that job offer. I have a model. I don't want to be an accountant. Even though I work for the Government Accountability Office in Washington, D.C., I am not an accountant though, right? But models are important. If we have models, we can replicate them. We can teach models. But not many Gambians actually have these kind of models. We have to be honest. And we cannot just blame the kids for not doing anything. You get non-work, say Bobby Conby or something. What is there for them to do? What are the models? What are they seeing around them? What is around them? The semesters are around them. Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, it's like you hate them. You don't want them to prosper because the semesters are prosperous, right? It's a model. So we have to have honest conversations about some of the deficiencies, some of the structural and societal problems we have in the Gambia. Another important thing is documenting. Documenting our narratives are important. Documenting our life stories are important. We can hopefully, Taf would actually have a big magnum opus about actually his background and stuff. I read some of your inspirational. It's fantastic. But how many Tafs do we have there? Because having the right or the will to explain your story in your own words is cathartic, it's emancipating, it's powerful, and people can connect. Tough grew up with probably a lot of people now who are like, oh, money, my mom, you're not in an attire. Right? But tough story is tough story. That doesn't mean we're gonna make a lot of toughs, but we're gonna actually mold a lot of people in tough's image. Mm-hmm. That's what we need. That's what we need in Gambia. We cannot just continue on this path. We cannot actually have ministers of youth who are like in their 60s. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Right? It doesn't make sense. Sure, they were youth at some point. 30 years ago, they were youth. But the youth of Bob Dylan's era is not the youth of today. The youth of Labor Sosa's era is not the youth of ST.
Nope.
It's different. We live in a different era, so we need a paradigm shift, right? You were talking about the paradigm shift. We need a paradigm shift, and that is crucial. I talked to my dad's brother, he was a historian, Alaji Mansour Njie, and we had this really interesting conversation about actually Gambian society and actually how he was able to actually collect a lot of data and a lot of information and whatnot. He went to the griots and asked them questions. I didn't know that. He asked this griots a bunch of questions about actually his family and other families within Banjul and Senegambia as a whole. He was able to narrate this, but he never documented any of this. Never. I asked him, why not? He was like, I'm got it. And that was it. Right? He's probably one of the smartest human beings I know. But if somebody doesn't write about Alaji Mansour's story, it's going to end up being a footnote. Like all of actually our doyens, the giants, the titans of industry in Gambia too, even though we don't have real industry, but I'm just using the word loosely. All of these people are going to be footnotes. All of them are going to be footnotes unless we start documenting these narratives, these stories, because stories matter. All societies are based on myths. All of them, no exception. If you go to the United States, they have a demigod called George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Where are our demigods? They're nowhere to be found. So we need to start documenting. And networking is also important. And social media, don't underestimate the power of social media. When I wrote my dissertation proposal, my PhD proposal, I actually posted it on my blog and sent it through Twitter. The amount of feedback I got from it actually directed the actual approach of my dissertation. A lot of people, a lot of older people with wisdom came and told me, oh, well, we had this system. Oh, the Visaka system wasn't working. What about you look at this system? I was like, oh, okay. I never looked at it that way because I was like in the mold of like do-gooder, right? Let's look at microfinance and see how it works or it doesn't work. But I didn't understand that actually non-profit microfinance wasn't working at all until people actually brought that to my attention. I started looking at Reliance Financial Services and the model they use and how actually that is actually based on an already Gambian system that we have called the Osusu system. It's there, but nobody's documenting it because everybody's saying, oh, Muhammad Yunus started microfinance. It's ridiculous. No, he did it. We have it in Gambia. We call it Osusu. We just didn't know it was microfinance, right?
It is microfinance.
It is microfinance, right? But we need to document. We need to actually have a Gambia that is actually documenting stuff because the griots that Papa Mansour talked to, they are no more. Their kids are not going to be griots. They are not. They're going to do other things. That means that dies there. That's it. The Modou Musa Njie model is gone. The TAF model, the Mohamed Jah model, and these other people, these new titans, we need to see how actually we can leverage this. We need to reach out to these people. Or perhaps these people can, like this platform is one of the best for that. In closing, I just want to talk about the importance of networking because I just, I kind of brush it off a little bit. But networking is crucial because a lot of people that I was able to reach out to when I was doing my dissertation, the older generation of Gambians, some of them in their 50s and 60s. I was shocked to learn we actually have this many PhDs in economics and stuff. I didn't know that because I didn't make a PhD until I went to America. So I didn't know we actually had this many PhDs in the Gambia. So it was important for me to network with these people through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Some of them I read their dissertation and emailed them, but we have them. I talked to Dr. Tijan Sala. He was the first Gambian to get his PhD, master's and PhD from Virginia Tech. I'm the second. It took 30 years for a Gambian to get a PhD from Virginia Tech, and then we have another one 30 years later. I was like, this is it. We're not going to do this again. We're going to make sure we actually have more Gambians going to Virginia Tech. And lo and behold, we're going to have 2 Gambians going to Virginia Tech next fall. Because models matter. We need to make models into a thing. Like we need to transform our system. We need to transform the way we think as a society. We need to transform the way and actually have a different approach to things. And in closing, I'm just going to say that I am, as always, cautiously optimistic about the future of this country. But let's make sure we talk about the so what. The problems, we can talk about it on Facebook, and everybody go to bed. But the so what, then what, right? What is the next step? What are the things we're going to do to make Gambia better? And to that end, I would say that a better Gambia beckons. Thank you.